It's time for another Dun Dun anime review. Ms. Vampire who lives in my neighborhood. Like, comment, and subscribe. Rumors told about the ageless girl who comes out at night, living in a mansion in the middle of the forest. Some say that she's a living doll with a soul. Upon hearing these rumors, Akari Akamo seeks out this girl, only to find herself lost. She treks through the woods amidst the darkness. A vampire named Sophie Twilight saves her, turning out to be the rumored girl. However, unlike the vampire told in myths, Sophie does not attack humans and instead orders her blood online. Akira instantly becomes charmed with her doll-like appearance and proceeds to abruptly move in with her, thus starting their new life together. This anime has about 12 episodes. It is based off a 4-panel manga series. It is comedy, girl love, slice of life, supernatural, vampire. Each episode is 20 minutes per episode, rated PG-13. Now let's get started into the review. What I really like about this anime, it kind of like debunks the whole vampire myth lore and basically takes a modern telling of it. So basically, Sophie Twilight, I know the last name sounds stereotypical, poking fun at the Twilight vampire parody stories, but besides the point, I think for Sophie Twilight, she's like a modern vampire who he did all the vampire lore and it just doesn't work on her, or just has a smaller effect. But going down to the whole summary of the story, I feel like the plot's very simple to understand. Regardless how vampires are portrayed these days in shows or animation, they're often either keep your expectations high or very, very low. And basically in this one, just keep it very simple. It's very simple. It's a slice of life that focuses on making fun of more of the otaku and vampire culture than rather having a very complex story. With that being said, Sophie Twilight, as you guessed, is a vampire otaku who just loves a lot of anime things, and she believes people who stay up late watch anime are vampires too. And sadly, someone has to break that to her. That's not the case here. People just either have really weird bad sleep schedule or just have no life, and we just binge anime just to feel something or just to skip away from reality. But having these overall themes work together, you don't think that the story is very complicated or is more depth of story development, but the storytelling is much more in that and more of the adventure that these cast of characters get themselves into nonetheless. I think also with the humor that they kind of take in there and the character development connections and the relationship that they establish over the course of these episodes kind of funny within itself. For example, the first couple episodes, the girl who believes this rumor encounters the vampire girl, and she has a very fascination with dolls, so she kind of like strikes up this like bargaining shit, like, hey, can she kind of move in with the vampire chick, and they kind of become roommates. And I feel like what's really interesting how they establish this important relationship between these two people who come from two different sides of the world, one being an immortal being and one being a human girl. They kind of develop this friendship bond. I feel like they begin to share similar interests, and I think that's more evident with more of the otaku culture. And I think also with Sophie's common lack of sense for her nature, she has the mind of a child despite being over 300 years old. And I think also what the creator's kind of going for, she's kind of a different type of vampire. She's not violent, she doesn't desire human blood, while she shares the common traits of generic vampires like being weak to sunlight and so far they like the smell of garlic. I think also I like what Sophie's character development. She enjoys the interest of otaku. These includes going to comic conventions, collecting anime goods, something you never expect this to be a very stereotypical vampire behavior. From the bottom line, that Sophie is nothing like the vampires you see in traditional horror flicks or horror anime. But she's not the only vampire, but when you watch the anime, you also get introduced to another vampire named Ellie, and she's completely on the different spectrums of Sophie's characteristics versus her own characteristic, and how these two vampires, how they interact with each other and how they basically behave. I think also like the show kind of pokes fun at Ellie's personality, but I don't kind of go in depth to how she acts. You just have to see it for yourself. And I think also when you meet Akira's friends as well, they kind of get introduced to Sophie and like they're involved for things supernatural. I think it's kind of interesting how these type of friendship grow over time and how their bonds are being more united. I feel like in some sense, and I feel like also the hilarious slapstick comedy that's put in this anime is something that makes the pacing and balance of the anime overall really great. I feel like overall having that really in-depth character chemistry for all the characters to be so close and together and see them grow as the vampire characters grow more of the custom of the human culture and the human culture going across to the more the vampire culture or whatever the vampires are willing to tell them with their knowledge, and a subtle hint of romance here and there. But I think also with the attraction that between the two main characters, something that's often played for laugh. I feel like, I think also many times, the humor goes around to that again, the otaku culture with along with Sophie's hobbies, and pretty much have to stay inside, done watching anime, read comics, and etc. Otaku culture, but as the vampire, the show also injects humans about her nature, such as drinking blood, being weak to garlic sunlight, and then as the title suggests, Sophie pretty much lives in a neighborhood who's a vampire who lives in a normal human neighborhood who's completely harmless. And I feel like the art style kind of suggests that as well. It's very decorated, it's very cutesy, very whimsical charm. The main characters are all female, with Sophie being the prime example, who give off this aura of doll-like characteristics. And, a lot of the characters kind of comment on her doll-like appearance, very youthful, and like how some people, they're a little bit fan service here and there, but not too bad where it just it turns you away. It's very simple, very mild. I think also the one series that I feel like people don't talk enough about because it's just kind of, I think, flew underneath some people's radar and they really didn't bat an eye by it. It's very simple, sweet, cute, and straight to the point. It's not very confusing. It's a simple 12 episodes. I think something, when you're watching anime that you want to experience a slice of light comedy and a dose of that vampiric otaku culture without going too overboard with it. I think the anime did just that. And with that being said, with having watched this about 2 days ago, I feel like it kind of just hits the right, nail in the coffin, no pun intended. But, just very short and simple anime that I feel like people will enjoy. And I think I enjoy it myself. I did enjoy the humor that was poking fun at the whole vampire lore, myth, ethics, and lore of it. And also, how a very harmless vampire can coexist in the human world, but also very getting sucked into the Japanese anime otaku culture, which I love a lot. So definitely check out this anime and let me know what you think, because I give this 7.10 out of 10, and I really enjoyed it, and I really want to now try to find the manga series to see where it kind of continues off, where the anime kind of left off that. But until then, thank you for tuning in this review, and I hope to see y'all real soon. But until then, bye!